Hi friends, Jan at the Moline Library here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the cubies that are part of the October craft kit. We have a skeleton and a bat that you can make. If you haven't already picked up your October craft kit, these are available in the bins at the table outside of the library, or you can come to the second floor information desk to pick one up, or you can call us to request one to be put aside for curbside pickup. Inside your packet, you will have the patterns for both of these projects. The only thing you really need besides that to complete this is a pair of scissors. However, there are a few things that might make it a little bit easier for you. If you have a very small pair of scissors like this, like you might get for nails or for medical or things like that, that can help you, especially with some of the really small detail. If you have an X-Acto knife like this, you could use that with a grown-up's help. And you also might want to have a piece of cardboard so that if you are using the knife or the scissors on a flat surface that you don't go through and cut your table. You should not need to have glue or a glue stick or tape. But it might be worth having these handy just in case you are having trouble. We printed these out on heavier cardstock, so you shouldn't need them, but just in case, you might want to have them handy. Now to get started, what you're going to do is cut out all of the pieces here. You'll just along the outside edges. You'll see that each of these has several parts. The bat has the main body and then two sets of wings. The skeleton has the main body, and then there's arms and legs. There's two sets of arms, the sets of legs, and then the body and the head. So go ahead and get those cut out, and then we will show you what to do next. Once you have all of the pieces cut out, the next step is to take care of the notches and the grooves. So you'll see any place that there is a white line like that, you need to cut that out, including along the tabs. Now you can use just a regular pair of scissors for this. So for example, you can just notch it and notch it, oops, sorry, like that, so that becomes notched. In terms of these longer ones, you can use a pair of scissors. Again, I would recommend putting something down and kind of cutting along the line. You don't need to cut it out, you just need to make sure that you've got a nice slit there so that the notch can go in the other side, from the other side. This would be a good place to use if you have smaller scissors. Those are a little bit easier to get in to cut those notches into the side, and you can also, with the smaller scissors, kind of go and just kind of poke through very carefully to make sure that you do not hit your fingers, and then cut that way. Or again, with an adult's help and with something covering your workspace, you could use a little X-Acto knife and go through and cut those slits out. Whatever you do, just make sure that you are being very careful. Don't hurt yourself and don't hurt your furniture. All right, and once you've got all of those notches and slits cut out, I will show you the next step. Now these kind of gray ones that are on the bottom of the head, they are on the bottom of the body here, and also there's two here on the back. On the bat, those do also need to be opened up. So go ahead and get those done, and then we will move on to folding. Let's go ahead and start with the skeleton. We've got his head here, and what you're going to want to do next is fold along all of the places where it has the kind of gray line. So there will be 3 folds that way, and then one this way and one this way. I also think it's a good idea before you get started to fold in all of your tabs. That way you're not struggling with them later. So we'll get all of those folded in. And you'll notice on the skeleton pattern that everything is marked. Oops, I missed that one there. So you'll have like a tab and a slot, and so tab T goes into slot T and so forth. So we've got those kind of all pre-folded, and there isn't really any best way to go about folding them. They're not in alphabetical order or anything. It's just however it works best for you. So you just kind of fold them in and tuck them in. And you'll notice that sometimes one you've already tucked in is going to come out when you're trying to do another. That's fine. If you are really struggling to get everything tucked in and to stay in place, this is where you might want to use a little bit of glue. I find that sometimes it's helpful to put glue on this part, not this part that goes inside, but this part that will end up on the inside, the larger part with the slit in it. I find sometimes if you put just a little dab of glue in, then when it gets all tucked together, it will stick to the outer wall. If you're really struggling, again, you can use tape. After you've got everything tucked in, you can tape it together. So just go ahead and get those all tucked in. Don't worry if it takes you a few tries, that's perfectly natural. As you can see, I've made several of these and I'm still kind of struggling. Okay, one more. All right, so now we have the skeleton's head, and then you'll notice, remember, that we have these openings on the bottom of his head. We'll get back to that later. So then go ahead and fold the body and the arms and the legs. One thing to note about the arms, if you didn't see it when you were cutting, is that there is a spot that that comes in that you need to cut in order to make this able to fold all the way. So let me just show you one of the arms here. This ends up being more like a rectangle. Don't fold this part down. Okay. And then when the arms are all folded together, like I said, they will end up more like a rectangle than a square. And the thing with the arms is that you will end up with, and also with the body, sorry, you will end up with these extra tabs, and that is how you will assemble them later. So once you get the arms together, it will look like this, with two little tabs hanging out there. And with the legs, even though there is a gray line in between the smaller ones, you do not want to fold those. I learned that the hard way. So you'll just have essentially kind of a box here with the legs. So they're kind of the easiest ones to fold. And that is what your legs will look like. So you've got the two little flaps at the top, and then it's just kind of a square. And go ahead and do the same thing with the body of the skeleton and the head of the bat, And next we will move on to assembling. The last thing that we need to do is to assemble all of the folded pieces into a cohesive whole. For the bat, all you're going to need to do is to take the wings and slip them right into the sides there. Now, one thing I noticed with the wings is that they don't always quite line up quite right, so you might want to wait until they're folded and then cut them together. In that way, you get so that you don't have a lot of white showing through from one side or the other. Just make sure that when you cut them out, that you're cutting them out on opposite sides so you don't have two right wings or two left wings. You could also, if you wanted, glue the wings together so that they stay together a little bit more and you don't have, like I said, some of that white kind of shining through where they don't line up quite right. We'll go ahead and insert that, and you've got your bat. The skeleton obviously has a few more pieces. I can't honestly say whether it's better to go from the head down to the feet or the feet down to the head, so I'm just going to start with the feet. One thing that I will say is that the instructions call for you to leave this very flat. I find that's really difficult to assemble, so I like to cut the part that goes into the rest of the body down at an angle on the sides. I find that's a little bit easier. So I'm going to go ahead and find the front, and then I'm going to take my body, and there is a front and a back to the body. That one just has the spine, or that one has the spine, and that one's just the ribs, and that's what we want, is the ribs. And then there are those slits at the bottom, and those go in like that. Okay. And then the arms, there is a right arm and a left arm. It'll be pretty easy to tell which is which when you start to put them on. So the arms go in so that they're facing towards the front, like so. And then the head, find our eyes. And again, I find that the head is probably the most difficult to get on. This one's been on and off a few times, so it's a little more accommodating. And then you have your skeleton and you have your bat. I hope you've enjoyed making these little friends with me today. If you enjoy this sort of craft, we will also be offering a 3D haunted house. If you'd like to sign up for that, registration is on our website through the calendar. The date it's set is October 13th if you're trying to find it, but you can actually register at any time, and then you will be emailed the instructions as well as the printable papers so that you can make your own 3D haunted house. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call at 309-524-2470. Have a great day.